implementation and evaluation of a simulation. First, we create a situation. Second, provide simulations for preparation. Third, provide guidelines for the simulated event. Fourth, establish a learning space for the exchange. And fifth, establish a time frame for the exchange. Steps that need to be taken in order to conduct a simulation. First, design the problem. Second, design the rules and rules. Number 3, set up the scenario. 4, assign student roles. 5th, consider the practical limitations of playing out the simulation and make adjustments to the task design as necessary. 6, develop moderation and other necessary skills. 7th, conduct the prepared simulation in classroom. And last, discuss the result of the simulation and follow-up activities.
Last but not least, we'll be looking at role-play and simulation from a similar angle in terms of its advantages, disadvantages, differences, factors, importance, and use in ELT practice.
Advantages of using roleplay and simulation in ESL classroom. Harmer, 2005, stated that simulation and roleplay can be used to encourage general oral fluency or to train students for specific situations. Next, it can be fun and motivating. Thus, it allows the hesitant students to be more forthright in their opinions and behavior without having to take responsibility for what they say in the way that they do when they are speaking for themselves. It also allows students to use a much wider range of language than some more task-centered activities may do. Overall, all researchers believe that it will help to improve the students' speaking skills because the students will be able to practice with new vocabulary and structures.
Roleplay and simulation share some similar disadvantages. The first point is that Thornberry 2008 indicates that some learners may have trouble performing in front of a large audience due to being self-conscious in front of their peers. Some learners are shy and they may also be nervous performing in front of their peers. The second point is that it is quite difficult for the teacher to assess the language proficiency of the learners during the roleplay. This is because the teacher has to assess the language proficiency as well as the quality of the roleplay at the same time. The third disadvantage is teachers have to do heavy preparation for the objectives, context, and background rules of the roleplay activities. This place heavier burden on the teachers themselves way before the roleplay activities begin.
As you can see from the slides, the table indicates the differences between roleplay and simulation. First, roleplay is specific since each student has a representative role, while simulation is general as it is a group situation. Roleplay is spontaneous and student-driven. Nevertheless, simulation is premeditated, teacher-driven, or computer-driven. In roleplay, the action has a past, events that have happened already, whereas in simulation, the events could have happened or can be hypothetical. Moreover, roleplay focuses on what will happen, in contrast to simulation as it is mimic real life, relatable or relevant. Lastly, roleplay is about problem solving, like how is it solved? Differing to simulation as it is reflective. For example, this is the situation, what can we do? So all of these are the differences between roleplay and simulation.
A number of factors need to be borne in mind when selecting roleplay activities for students. The first one is workability of the activity. A reality of function. Students must be able to identify and relate to the role they are playing. Also, give students relevant facts about the role. For example, the role's personality and moods. A simulated environment. It is not possible for a teacher to take the students into all the environment in real life. Therefore, you need to think of ways in which we can help the students to understand the situation. Next is structure. Learners require the security of a clear structure in order for them to be able to engage effectively in the role play. There needs to be a clear statement of the various stages so that students are able to enter into role play or simulations with enthusiasm and conviction. Second factor is suitability for students. First off, students' level of proficiency. You will need to choose role plays that have a higher level of situational and linguistic predictability. Second, interest of students. Ensure that the role play you choose have the capacity to motivate students. Students' life experience. Choice of roleplay activity must also be guided by the teacher's understanding of the student's future English usage needs. So, one criterion you must bear in mind when you are on the hunt for new roleplay activities is to see the activity simulates any situation the student is likely to have to meet in the future. Next is suitability in terms of language use. When selecting a roleplay activity, you must bear in mind all of these levels of linguistic organization to decide which aspects of the language syllabus the particular roleplay activity you are considering can help to develop. The last one, suitability of use in classroom situation. A good roleplay activity needs to be measured against another very important criterion, which are, do I have the time that this roleplay requires? Does my classroom fulfill the spatial requirements? And also, if the roleplay specify groups of 5 and I have 33 students in my class, what can I do with the 3 extra students? All of these questions must be bear in mind when selecting a roleplay and simulation. The importance of roleplay and simulation. First, it enriches the classroom environment. Roleplay and simulations enable us to transport many different kinds of language-inducing situations into the classroom. Second, in integrating various components of knowing a language. Simulations and roleplay makes it possible for the learners to recognize the words used by the speaker, the purpose the speaker is uttering the words, his attitude when the speaker is speaking, example whether he is being formal or casual, also the gestures the speaker is using and what the gestures means. And the third importance of roleplay and simulation is it prepares students to face real life situations. The teacher often supports the pupils during roleplay and simulations by providing them with the language props as well as the factual information they may need to communicate successfully. Fourth, enable students to learn formulaic chunks that increase fluency. Widdowson, 1998, claims that communicative competence involves having in mind a store of formulaic chunks and adapting these in appropriate ways to fit each situation. The meaningful context and the language scaffolding that are features of roleplay help the beginner not only to build his store of language, but also to build confidence in his ability to use English to achieve set purposes. 6. In improving the quality of engagement. Most students find roleplay and simulation interesting. This makes them more participative and aids language learning much better than when they engage in an activity because the teacher thinks these activities are good for them. Last but not least, Simulation is important in providing access to out-of-classroom contexts. In many ESL and EFL countries, people learn English not only to engage in activities that require English, but also to help them participate in an increasingly globalized world. Simulation and roleplay are a means of bringing these roles that are distant in time and place within the here and now that the students are in. Roleplay and simulation as used in current ALT practice. The first one as a part of an integrated module. Second, as a one-off activity on speaking fluently. Third, as a guided speaking activity for elementary and intermediate students. Fourth, as a part of a grammar lesson.
For the theory, we think that roleplay and simulation can be associated with Hilda Tabla's theory, where it is believed that there must be a process for evaluating students' achievement of content after the content standard has been established and implemented.